Hey, what's going on, everybody? So, in this video, we are going to talk about some of the money differences and stuff between Oakley and Autumn since I've made the change. And this is just going to be over this past week because that's, my one full week. So that's all the information I have to go by. So, later on I'll get into a little bit more of that. But first part of this video, though, one of my viewers, Mike, he wanted to know more about my Mack. He's looking to maybe getting one. Want to know some of the likes and dislikes. Man, I just love my truck. I love this Mack. I love the M drive. I like the MP8. When I first was purchasing it, it was set at 405. I got them to bump it up to 445. That's as high as I can take it because of my rear ends. I got 264 rear ends. My fuel mileage, I'm running right around 7 on average. Running empty, I'm getting up at 10. So, but loaded and empty, it averages out right around 7. What a lot of people don't know on Macks and Volvos, the horsepower rating is what actually goes to the wheels, not like Freightliner and Packard's, Cummins, all those are what goes to the flywheel. So my 445 horse is equivalent to a 505. If I wanted 505, but like I said, and the 505 would be equivalent to the 565. The 405 original setting on this is equivalent to, the 450, 455, whatever. So, that's how they are. Tons and tons of storage. So, I got all of these cabinets back here for storage. I got some of my stuff stored up there. I got my, big old cabinet here. Got a cabinet down there. We got a little pull-out drawer. Got a little pull-out drawer there. Refrigerator. My microwave. And you go around over here. You even got more storage back up in here on both sides. And those go deep. You can throw some stuff up there like you see. And storage cabinets up, storage deals right there above the seat. I pull out my passenger seat because that's where I put my air conditioner and my dog food. So, about the only thing I didn't like when I got this truck was the Mack seats. They sit too far forward-ish. They won't slide back far enough. I mean, part of it has to do with the cabinet. But, and they set up higher than I like. I haven't been able to put air in a seat since right after I first started driving, and I jammed my neck on the ceiling of an R model Mack. Since then, I ride on the floor, I always have, and I've been driving for 28 years, so that's just me. So what I did is I pulled the Mack seat out, had to alter my adapter that I had for my International, and which I just had to drill some bigger holes because there's some big old nut things down there that keeps the seat in place, I guess. I don't know what they're for. But I did that, put my Sears seat in here, got me some more leg room, and I'm great. So, alright. Now, for what most of y'all have been waiting for, is we're going to go over some numbers that I had at Oakley and my numbers I had for last week here at Autumn. So, this is from the first of the year at Oakley, okay? From when I first leased this truck on, which was January 2nd, to whenever I left, which was June 12th. So, in that time, I had 61,037 miles, and that's not paid miles. That is odometer miles. That's what I actually drove. And that's what I'm basing all this off of, because, they pay zip code to zip code. I know one load paid me for 7 miles, and it was 30 miles away. And I said something to them, because the roads to get there, you got to go down and this way and this way. And like, oh, well, we can only pay zip code to zip code. I'm like, the only way to get there like that is to fly. So, there's always a variance. So I'm going by what my truck actually drove, and that was 61,037 miles. Okay. With that, my weekly average gross was $5,401. That was my weekly average gross. My average miles per week was 2,543. Out of that 2,543, I probably only got paid for 2,300 of those on average. So I broke all that down. I was making $2.12 a mile. And that was from, like I said, January 2nd when I leased the truck on, to June 12th when I took the truck off the lease. Yeah. So that's not bad, I guess. That's better than some, not as good as others. So for the past week, which was the first full week I had over here running loads, I drove a total of, hold on, sorry, I thought I had everything figured up. I missed that number. All right, so for the loads I drove that I worked last week, I did 3 loads, and I drove 3,228 to the end of my last load. I'm on another load now. That starts my new mileage. So for this week, so 3,228 miles for the week. All right, so I grossed $7,770. I broke all of that down, and it was an average of $2.53 a mile for last week. And over at Oakley they pay by the mile. Over here at Autumn you get percentage. Now some loads will pay you by the ton, some are fixed rate. I make 65% of whatever the load pays, plus fuel surcharge, and that varies load to load. Now the good thing about this is whenever they dispatch me on a load, I look at the load and it automatically tells me what the load pays. For example, I'm not going to give our actual rate because that's for me to know. I might have a load that pays, let's say, $2,800. So we'll figure that up. So that's $2,800 times 65%. So to me, that pays me $1,820. And it may be going, let's say we load in Knoxville going to where am I? I'm in Rafine right now. I can almost tell you the miles on that because that's what I did today. That's like, hold on. Okay, so that's roughly, let's say, because I drove 398 today. So yeah, let's say 400 miles. Okay, so Now the fuel surcharge on that, they give me a number. Sometimes it's by however much I put on, or sometimes, that's on certain customers. It may be a percentage of however much the load is. Then other times it's whatever. I mean, I had some pretty good fuel surcharges, but say it's $900, or probably not even that much, probably not that much, but all right, so say the fuel pays, $500, so you'd take that $1,820 plus $500 in fuel, so that comes up to $2,320. We say this load, say we drove the 400 miles, so that'd be a really good paying load, because that's like $5.80 a mile. We do have some of those loads that do pay something like that, but I don't know, because I had one last week that paid me like $3.10. The others averaged out $2.26 and $2.23, and they only averaged down that low because I was avoiding a bunch of toll roads, and so I took a long way and added 130 miles each way. I was going back and forth, so just to avoid paying a bunch of tolls. So it would have averaged up higher than that. But like I said, I'm figuring all this out on how many miles I actually put on the truck. So there you go. Now, I haven't actually got my first paycheck yet, so I don't know where all of my deductions are, but I know they sent me a spreadsheet that showed how much my deductions were, pretty close, or at least, on an average. And it's relatively close to what Oakley's was, maybe a little bit more. For the first like 20 weeks, I've got escrow coming out, I've got blower payments coming out. So, after 20 weeks, those should be done. That'll give me a pretty good raise, like $500 a week raise. So, woohoo! But that's, 5 months down the road. So we're going to be there for a while. But yeah, so I mean, if like this week here, with 4th of July, sorry, I'm not as good of a speaker as like Jimmy is, so just bear with me. With 4th of July, it's a short week. I'm going home for the 4th, spending it with my family. Got some friends come in, my daughter's coming down, so I'm gonna spend time with them, and I figure it's a holiday weekend, not very many places to be running anyways. I'd rather sit at the house, at the lake, in my boat, versus, in a truck stop somewhere. So, they got these loads of loading by my house and going up here in Virginia. I'll get about 2 of those this week. 4 days, gonna pay me right around $3,700 for 4 days worth of work. So that's not too bad, I don't think. And that's just because they're keeping me close to the house here. And then hopefully when I come out next week, be getting on some other good paying loads. So that's just, my comparison right now, from last week. I mean, going from averaging $2.12 a mile to, what did I say that was? I had it wrote down here somewhere. $2.53 a mile. That's 40 cents. So, as long as we can keep it up, we ought to be good. We do have Penelope back in the truck. she's been at the house for last couple of weeks while I swapped over, and then she had to go to the vet Monday, so she stayed at the house. That's another thing. I've been home. I was home last weekend for my 34. I was able to go home yesterday, spend some time at the house, and I mean total miles for last week, because I went from my last load to go pick up my next load, stop by the house. Then I restarted my miles whenever I left the house, was almost 3,400 miles. And so yeah, they're keeping me moving. Almost 3,400 miles in a week. And then I had to load this morning, so I couldn't even get a full reset. So I'm running on recaps. I had like not quite 9 hours today, so I had to go down, get loaded up, and drive up here. Excuse me. I'm like 2 hours from where I got to unload. For today, I have 57 minutes left. I pick up a little over 4 tomorrow, or at midnight. Can't unload till around 11 tomorrow is my appointment time, so I'll probably try to show up about 10, and then I'll probably make it right back to here and hang out again till midnight till I get more hours back. I looked earlier, it's like 11 hours tomorrow night, so I'll be able to run down there, get reloaded, get part way back. I'll get like 12 hours back, get unloaded, turn around, start heading back to the house, and be home for the weekend. But alright, this video's going long enough. If you're still with me, I appreciate it. If you got any questions, comments, leave them down below, or send me a email, taksides@yahoo.com. It's always in the description. Thanks for following me. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I try not to be too scatterbrained, but that's just me. Y'all have a good day.